Farm Progress Broadcast presents This Week in Agribusiness, serving America's most essential industry. Brought to you by Case IH. Solutions for every challenge. Equipment for every farm. Case IH, built by farmers.
Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us here for This Week in Agribusiness. I'm Mike Pearson. Earlier this week, in a couple of USDA reports, we were notified that a massive corn crop could be coming from several U.S. states, Illinois being one of them. Joining us now is Jeremy Leninger. He serves as the sales manager for Nutrien Ag Solutions out of the Vandalia, Illinois office. And Jeremy, I've heard the crop down in that direction was looking good last time we talked. How's it shaped up since then?
Been a little bit of a change since the last time we talked. There's still some stuff around here that looks fairly good, but we ended up having about 10 inches of rain about 3 weeks ago, about 10 miles south of Vandalia, and all that water's got to come somewhere, and it ended up down here. So we've got some fields that are they didn't make it. You know, there's none left in that field right now. So it's a tough pill to swallow.
It is. It is. When you get out of those river bottoms, are things looking better?
It is. You know, there's still potential out there for a lot of good corn out there. I definitely wouldn't complain if we were to get a rain anytime soon. We could definitely benefit from one of those.
Absolutely, Jeremy. And of course, harvest just around the corner. So I imagine this is your time to sort of sit back and relax, right?
That's not quite true. I wish it was, but we're already planning for 26. So, you know, trying to get some seed plans in place and you know, just kind of figure out what our strategy is going into the fall.
So how else do you look ahead to the 2026 growing season? What else are you working on with your farmers?
You know, we want to plan on, you know, once we roll into harvest, we'll kind of get an opportunity to look at some hybrids, how they did, good, bad, or indifferent, what we need to do going forward. And we're going to take a look and see how some of our level and nutritional products performed, weed, herbicide performance, and, you know, just kind of make those changes and tweaks that we need to try to set ourselves up better for 26.
There is a lot of data anymore in agriculture, particularly once those combines roll. You've got that yield data. Jeremy, how do you put all this together? What do you do with all this information?
Well, last time I was on here, I mentioned the stat tool. So that's something that we dove into this past fall, getting soil samples. And, you know, we want to go out there and make the correct recommendations with that. You know, we want to look at our base saturations first. Here in my part of the world, you know, we lack magnesium. We've usually got a little higher calcium. We have a hard time holding potassium. So we have put out a lot of potassium foliarly this year. And then the next big thing is boron. If you look at Southern Illinois' tissue sample report, and not even just Southern Illinois, but the whole Corn Belt region, I think 14 out of 15 of the divisions, boron was one of the top 3 nutrients that were lacking. So, you know, we put out a lot of boron this time this year, and I think that's something we're going to continue to do going forward. But it'll be nice to see what that attributes to the crop.
Jeremy, your job requires so much knowledge of soil chemistry. How did you get all that?
To be quite honest with you, you know, this is my 5th season being with Nutrien, and they always have since I've been here. But I would say in the last couple of years, especially, Nutrien and especially the Southern Illinois division has done a fantastic job of investing in their people, getting into the stat tool. And, you know, we want to make ourselves look different, but I want to be able to bring value to the farmer as far as, you know, the right recommendation of rates. You know, one of the big things is that we need to figure out is we can't use the more on approach, and that is more fertilizer. Just put more on. You know, that's not always going to work. It's an extremely delicate balance of nutrients, and we need to try to get that dialed right in.
Yeah, we certainly do. Jeremy Leninger, sales manager with Nutrien Ag Solutions, thank you so much for joining us this week.
All right, thank you.
And folks, if you want to try a strategy different than the moron strategy, visit nutrienagsolutions.com. Our market segment this week is brought to you by Farm Futures. Keep up on these volatile commodity markets at farmfutures.com. Joining me now to dig into these volatile commodity markets is Tommy Grizafi of Nesvik Trading out of Nashville, Tennessee. Tommy, we saw some big USDA reports earlier this week alerting us to a big potential corn crop coming, 188.8 bushels per acre expected on behalf of USDA. Does that seem right to you?
It's possible. With the good genetics, folks who sponsor all these shows are always telling you how great their seeds and chemicals and everything is. Farm practices have got better. We have the farm shows coming up. Everyone's trying to tell everyone how to grow more bushels. We cannot be shocked that it's all hitting. We planted a lot of acres. Apparently, we planted even more acres than we had even thought. The yield was big. That was a shocker. But adding more acres, that was even a bigger shocker. So you get that 1-2 punch. I guess the question we should be asking was, if on the report day beans didn't trade from down 15 to up 20, how low would have corn have went? Many folks said corn with those bearish of numbers should have traded limit down. So the fact that prices are stable right now, nobody's happy about it, Mike. I mean, I guess the only person happy about it is a guy who feeds corn to hogs, cattle, ethanol. Maybe of course, the end user. You know who's happy about it? Foreign countries are happy about it. They get to buy our grain $1 or $2 below what it would cost them to produce.
Given that now we're going to hopefully bring that demand element back into the market here, Tommy, how are you advising producers to handle this crop here into harvest? Are you just sitting on your hands right now if we haven't made any sales?
No, we have to take action because there's just not enough bins to store everything, particularly with folks in North Dakota. We lost 100 million bushels of bin space with those Dochoro type winds, however you say it, Mike, but they were nasty storms. They had back-to-back tornadoes. With a crop this big, regardless of what your cost production, our bushels are going down. So we're advising people how to have reownership if they need it, how to cash flow. The one benefit of the USDA report was that the price of beans have went up 50 cents quickly in a few days. That gave people a chance to sell those beans cash flow. We're going to store that corn as much as we can, catch that carry, wait for basis appreciation. And I hate to say it, hope's not a marketing plan, but there's a lot of people out there hoping, Mike.
Absolutely. But you mentioned soybeans. That was the surprise from Tuesday's reports. We saw the beans begin to rally. Tommy, what was it that sparked that rally?
Turn that frown upside down. If we're planting more corn acres, we're planting less bean acres. And the mathematics of it all really made the bean market friendly. There's some big shorts in the meal they're starting to cover. And don't forget, the one hope here is that the funds are really, really short some of these commodities. And if they exit those shorts as our exports are good, we could have a little bit of a pop here in these grain markets come fall.
That's a great point. To exit those shorts, they've got to buy that contract back. Tommy, that can lead to some fireworks. Speaking of fireworks, we continue to see record moves here in the cattle complex. Tommy, what's your advice to feedlots and cow-calf producers in this time of volatility?
Great question. A lot of people have moved over to LRP. People who sell futures are tired of making margin calls. It still may be the right thing to do, but margin calls have to be met. The government has the LRP program. It's very attractive for cattle producers. Of course, if you're comfortable with it, layer the ownership that you have of these animals with puts. There's so many things you can do, but do something to protect this record price. I Googled nationwide ground beefs approaching $5.99, better, leaner cuts, $7, $8 for ground beef in parts of the country, Mike.
Yeah, it is absolutely incredible what consumers are paying for beef. And Tommy, they continue to pay it. That's got to make you optimistic for the future.
Stock market at all-time highs. Everyone thinks the world's ending. And for some people, some days it is. But overall, American economy, just go for a ride down the road, my friend. There's traffic everywhere.
There certainly is. Tommy Grisafi, Nesvik Trading, thank you so much for joining us this week. 2026 is going to be a big year for Pioneers. They mark their 100th anniversary. A company with roots that deep means they've worked with farm families across the Midwest for many generations as well. Joining me now to talk about the work over the generations is Dave Hying. He and his family have been Pioneer reps since 1946. Dave, tell us a little bit about how your family got involved with Pioneer and what it's been like to shepherd this business across 3 and soon to be 4 generations.
Well, yeah, Mike, it's been quite an honor. We started in 1946. My grandpa Al and grandmother Marie. They had a neighboring sales rep in each town on each side of us, but there was kind of a gap here in Granville. And the story goes, there was a local district sales manager that stopped at the coffee shop here in town and asked the guys drinking coffee that morning, give me 2 names of some guys that would represent Pioneer and the brand in this area. And one of the names was my grandpa. They did it for 31 years. Small business at the time. They were storing corn in their basement and then the old chicken coop and the garage and everywhere else that they could store seed. Grandparents retired. My dad and my mother, Gina Mary Ellen, took over in 1978. Unfortunately, around 1994, my dad encountered some health problems, but kind of with the help of family and so forth, we kind of got through that year into 1995. And then Nikki, my wife Nikki, and I signed on in the summer of 1995, and we've been doing it ever since.
That is incredible. You know, not many companies get to 100 years in business. Dave, in your experience with Pioneer, what's been the enduring philosophy that's kept them around for so long?
I think of Pioneer as probably the most recognized seed brand in America. They've always been in that leadership position. Going into this 100th year, we're at an all-time high with our products and our people. And so, yeah, I think we're in a really good position to lead the way. You know, I think in terms of, and this sounds kind of weird because it happened so many years ago, but hybrid corn really changed things in this area. More recently in my career, I would say the introduction of, biotech traits, herbicide resistance, those types of things that we've been using ever since, really since the late 90s when it got introduced.
Dave, looking behind you, I see lots of memorabilia from history of Pioneer. Can you tell us a little bit about what got you started collecting it and what some of your favorite pieces are?
Yeah, it reminds me every day when I see this stuff. It reminds me every day how important my job is, whether it's Pioneer's legacy or my family's legacy. I would say, at least 90% of the collection I've got comes from my family. Maybe the rest of the collection, a kind of interesting or unique way on how I got probably the rest of is people that are in the area that have cleaned out maybe attics or their parents' house. They'll drop by stuff and they'll say, Dave, I think you need to have this. This kind of belongs to you or your family. Maybe it's got my dad's name on it or my grandpa's name on it. And so they'll just drop stuff off, whether it's a belt buckle or a ashtray or something like that, tape measure, things like that. So pretty cool how we collected everything.
Well, let's look ahead to the future, Dave. You're 80 years under your family's belt, looking for another 80 years to go. What in the future, what innovations or developments do you think coming from Pioneer are going to have a big impact on the industry?
One thing I experimented with this year was on some biological products. I think about AI. What impact is AI going to have on the future? We're probably using it. I'm not sure how they're using it, but I'm sure they're using it currently today. And I wonder about, Pioneer's always been a leader in research and development. They've always led the way. So I'm assuming they'll continue to do that. I think about sometimes about how my dad used to always say, strive for improvement. And I think, Pioneer's always done that for, a century. And so Pioneer turning 100 is a big deal. And so from Granville, Iowa, I'm just proud to be a small part of it.
Dave Hying, thank you so much for taking the time to fill us in on your family's history with Pioneer this week.
Yeah. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it.
Agriculture meteorologist Greg Solier now brings us his farm weather forecast for the week ahead.
Our weather segment this week is brought to you by SprayTech, making your spray applications effective and convenient. Use it once, trust it always. Greg Solier is on the road this week, but he joins us nevertheless for a weather forecast. And Greg, when you look at the Pacific Northwest, what do you see over this next week?
Well, Mike, a nice pattern shift expected. There may very well be some meaningful moisture into parts of the Pacific Northwest and farther south, even some unusually wet weather, even into Southern California, and more so in the desert Southwest on that monsoon setup. Anyway, to the maps and charts we go, and here we are into the early part of the week, and that's a pretty impressive upper trough and two weather systems on the move. One through Big Sky Country and the propensity for severe weather, but welcome rain as we continue to nibble away at the drought across the upper Midwest and more so the Dakotas, and a second system coming ashore into the Pacific Northwest. We'll see that over the middle and late portions of the week. That trough kind of flattens out. Weather systems are on the move, but there may be some meaningful moisture in those area rain gauges, not just necessarily lightning, thunder, and fires, although they're sparking up big time, more so in the southwestern states. Cooler weather into the Pacific Northwest and a mild go of it for outdoor work, and still going on with spring grain and barley harvest across the southern Canadian prairie and across the Dakotas as well. Into the southwestern states, a cool off for the northern and central valleys of California. Even a couple of showers expected out there. Note the showers and thunderstorms scattered across the southwest, and the heat and humidity is dominating much of the central and southern high plains areas. And over the middle and late parts of the week, it's a more significant outbreak of not only moisture off the Pacific, but monsoon moisture. And on the eastern flank of that hot ridge, you see in that very hot weather in the desert Southwest, scattered showers and thunderstorms. Got to keep an eye on flash flood potential out there, Mike, this time of the year. And more severe storms for parts of the plains. It's been all or nothing on rainfall across some of those winter wheat belt areas over the past few days.
Oh, that's true, Greg. As you look for the northern corn belt here this next week, what are the headlines?
Headlines out there continue to be to start cooler, less humid weather, but we still have the hot ridge and, of course, the tropics, Aaron, and a system across the Gulf impacting the weather out there. Early in the week, there is that cool off situated through the upper Midwest, through Wisconsin and Michigan. Boy, cleanup and recovery over parts of Minnesota, upper Michigan, southeastern Wisconsin. The beat goes on there in eastern Iowa. The heat gets suppressed southward for a time along and south of the I-80 corridor. Then later into the week, it wells right back up again into Nebraska, parts of the western and southern Corn Belt. Remember, as we talked about, as the tropics get more active in the Atlantic Basin, the rain chances and coverages begin to diminish across the plains and Corn Belt locales. And that's the story in the middle and late parts of the week. But we'll hasten that corn and soybean crop. Big numbers coming in from the USDA, and we'll hasten it towards maturity with probably an early and often start to the harvest season there. Meanwhile, in the southern states early in the week, a significant, robust monsoon setup continues there. Note the little tropical system. Don't think it'll be named, but it will accentuate the rainfall. And we actually need rainfall in the Delta. They are drying out substantially down there and through Arkansas, points out of the east, where the downpours continue on for the late portion of the week with additional showers and thunderstorms. Heat and humidity, the worst of it over the southern high plains and westward in the desert southwest, Mike, as we move through the end portion of the week.
As you look all the way to the Atlantic seaboard, Greg, is heat the name of the game for the East Coast as well?
No, actually, a cool off. Matter of fact, a pretty sizable upper air trough on the early to midweek weather maps and charts. And you'll see at least the western flank of Aaron sheared off, weakening, but maybe a few tropical downpours into maybe down eastern Maine and off of sections of Massachusetts as well. The heat and humidity across much of the central Corn Belt areas will give way to a northward advance on some of that heat and humidity. So a cool off, lower humidity, the heat builds back in, and our last probably organized go around of showers and thunderstorms from the upper Midwest to the Ohio Valley could be heavy and severe. Meanwhile, into the southeastern states, the rain is appreciated across the Gulf Coast. There's maybe a suspect system in the western Gulf of Mexico. We'll keep an eye on that. Seasonal rains across the Gulf Coast areas into the southeastern states, and it's a continuation of more wet weather across the Delta. Welcome news for Cotton Belt country. Downpours in through Florida, easing the drought across southern sections as the heat builds across Oklahoma, Texas, and points westward into the southwestern United States.
Closed captioning this week is brought to you by Farm Progress. Their team of experts reports on innovative solutions and essential information for your farm business. Visit farmprogress.com to stay updated. Well, folks, harvest may still be a few weeks away for some growers across this country, but this is a great time to check in on those fields and see how weed control plans have worked so far this season. Joining me now to talk about it is Dr. Eric Schurter. He's the U.S. Crop Protection Technical Lead with Corteva Agriscience. And Dr. Schurter, thanks for joining us this week.
Oh, absolutely. My pleasure to be here today.
Now, of course, you spend your time on farms across this country taking a look at things in the field. This growing season, how is that enlist corn performing out there in farmers' fields?
Well, obviously this year, 2025, from a weather perspective, it's been a roller coaster. It has been truly a roller coaster. But in general, as we look at a lot of our corn crop across the Corn Belt, we're seeing very good weed control. We see a lot of yield potential still coming out there as we finish up the season. But overall, I think growers are very, very excited with the performance they're seeing out of that enlist corn.
On the enlist corn specifically, where do the advantages come for the grower? What are you guys highlighting for farmers out there?
Yeah, from a grower perspective, there's several things. First, it always starts with elite germplasm. And with Corteva Agriscience, we're able to offer that, whether you've got that in an above ground package like Power Core Enlist, Power Core Ultra Enlist for those growers that need the extra let protection, or if you need that above below ground being Vorseed. That's one of the unique things about enlist corn is we're offering the latest insect traits for above and below ground, and we're giving growers more flexibility as it relates to herbicide weed control.
All right, now Power Core technology. Eric, can you talk to me a little bit about that and how it's different?
Yeah, so for some of our growers out there, obviously rootworm in a rotated ground, corn, soybean rotation, they're not seeing as much rootworm pressure. It's an opportunity to not only get that elite germplasm, the proper placement, all the things we've been doing for 30 years in corn production, but now we can bring that above ground, one of the most advanced above ground traits out there for that insect protection. Now, Power Core Enlist also has the 4 herbicide modes of action that gives you growers more flexibility from a weed control perspective. You don't have to exercise your right to use all the herbicides out there, but when you have more choices, more options, you can tailor that weed control to fit a field by field basis.
That makes a lot of sense. And Eric, we've seen farmers really adopt to the Enlist traits in the soybean crop, and it's those same advantages then we're bringing over to corn, it sounds like.
Yes, so with Enlist corn from a herbicide perspective, we have tolerance to glyphosate, glufosinate, 2,4-D choline, and 5-tolerance, along with all the other basic chemistry that we utilize in corn today. Now, the one difference here, I would say, and one that we really strive and try to hit on very hard with our customers is this. We know when growers buy Enlist E3 soybeans, there's a high percentage, approximately 80% of the time, they're going to go ahead and spray Enlist on those soybeans. When it comes to corn, we still want them to do the right things. We want multiple modes of action down pre, multiple modes of action post, but instead of reaching for other maybe auxin chemistry like dicamba that can move off target, some of the older technology, or what growers don't sometimes think, 6.5, 7 fields around that cornfield are an Enlist field. Why not go ahead and just use Enlist in place of that dicamba, not to hurt those neighboring fields or your own field of soybeans right next to that cornfield. So it's a great way to really get that neighbor-friendly weed control in Enlist corn.
That's a really good point. And Eric, I've heard you say several times, multiple modes of action, not just coming back with a single chemistry. The ability to attack on multiple fronts is crucial for a quality weed control plan, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And I know when we talk about weed control, the first thing that pops into all of our minds is let's use a herbicide. Well, that's part of the solution, but there's other tools out there. Let's think about tillage, fall burn down, fall treatments there, cover crops. There's a lot of tools that we don't always think about that can provide a fairly good level of weed control or suppression. And when we use multiple modes of action, the whole goal of every grower should be, how am I getting at least 2 modes of action working on every weed out there? When I do that, the chances of developing resistance are a lot lower. And that's one of the reasons why we've never recommended using Enlist by itself. It's not because it's not a powerful tool, it's because we don't want to wear out that technology.
That makes a lot of sense. Now, you mentioned dicamba, some of the challenges with drift. From the Enlist perspective, it's not as volatile, correct?
Correct. So one of the things we designed when we brought this technology to the marketplace was 2,4-D choline. So it's a whole new salt formulation that really sets the bar for near zero volatility. And when you compare that to an amine or an ester, we're seeing 98% reductions in volatility. We also built in Colex D technology so that we can, once we make an application and we're following the label, we know it stays put. And that's what that Colex D technology is bringing. So when the grower reaches for a jug of Enlist 1 or Duo, it should be having bells and whistles going off because there's a lot of technology built in, but they don't always realize that.
Let's talk convenience at spray time. When we're working with multiple herbicides, how compatible are they for tank mixing?
Well, that's one of the things we really strive hard at Corteva is our formulation science. You know, when you think about some of the modes of action, we're relying on a lot of modes of action in corn that are 20, maybe 30, 40 years old. So if we can bring formulation science like Resicor Rev, which gives you the ability to utilize UAN, ATS, and other products in there, or mix just very well with other products like Enlist 1, you give growers an advantage. It makes their lives easier, makes that application smoother. We have a lot less problems at the end of the day. So obviously with Enlist 1, we know it. We have a lot of flexibility with our tank mixes, but we always are striving to improve where we can on all our formulations.
Growth is the name of the game. Dr. Schurter, if we've got folks who want to learn more about the Enlist system and how it can work for them in corn, where would you send them for information?
So there's always an easy resource, reaching out to enlist.com, a lot of webinars, technical information, all those things I would say really as we get into that fall, after we get the crop in, start looking at that, reach out to your local sales rep or your retailer, and we can always find you more information.
Fantastic. Dr. Schurter, always appreciate the insights on herbicide and crop technology with you. Thanks for joining us this week.
Absolutely. Be safe out there.
Stick around, folks. We'll have more after this.
Farm Progress Broadcast presents This Week in Agribusiness, serving America's most essential industry. Brought to you by Pioneer, the one that started it all and the one to count on when every bushel counts. Plant the 100th season at pioneer.com/100.
Welcome back to This Week in Agribusiness, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Max Armstrong has been bringing us some conversations with farmer Nick Galick of Geneseo, Illinois for our Plant Smart, Grow Smart series with BASF. He joins us now with the third part in that series.
Let's talk a bit about your BASF relationship. And let's name names a little bit here. What's your relationship with the company? How did it start? And how does it work on a day-to-day basis?
It works well. Mike Knutson is our district guy. He does a very good job of communicating with the ag retailer I work with on products that are available and where it fits in niches in the market. And Mike's always available for a phone call if you need help for timing or just making sure things are to the right place. Fungicide and corn, we do one shot, and I want it done, and I want it done right. And we want to make sure we hit right. And I'm not perfect at all of it, and sometimes second opinion really puts you at ease if nothing else. You know, you're out there, well, could the weeds be getting bigger? Should I wait? What should I do? And they're always there to answer the phone and help steer you and say, yes, this is what you need to do. You're doing the right thing. Or no, I would wait. It's going to get cloudy this afternoon. Put the Liberty back in the shed. Wait till it's better.
It's really helpful to have another set of eyes, especially someone you trust.
And if they have tar spot or something moving in the area, they're very adamant to let you know in email or something will come across that, hey, you need to be looking for this if you haven't seen it already. And that is very good to hear from.
So his connections with the company and with others in the company, I mean, that's beneficial to you. It's kind of an early warning system.
Exactly. Just make sure if you're missing it, it's there, and they make sure you get it taken care of. They want, like I said, your best interest is at heart there. It's not, they want to make sure you're successful so that they are successful.
Nick and I have known each other for a little longer than probably 13, 14 years. I've pretty much known him since I started working at BASF, which was in 2013, and gotten to know him better and better every year. We were at a plot day on last Friday, and one of the things that kind of came up was maybe Zidua Plus for the future. That's a new BASF product, the Zidua and Pursuit combination. May have a fit just because of that. Every year Nick struggles with Zidua Pro because he brings it in and then doesn't get it all he's applied because of timing, and you know, Mother Nature gets away from him. And so that was maybe a solution or a fix for that problem.
It's another option. We struggle with one man run a sprayer in the planter. So you can only run one piece of equipment at a time. So having these other options to adapt to what issues we could have is a great thing to have. I'd haul a lot of stuff back and forth from the retailer because I get on site, the initial plan, and sometimes it changes. And Mike's usually got a good solution that we can still have it under control, and just we adapt and change.
That's right.
Let's just shift a little bit and think about the future of your farm. Where do you see your farm going, or where would you like to see it go in the future, especially with potential involvement of your sons?
Well, I hope they're both here. I think they will be. They both have interest. They want to farm. They may have 3 or 4 other things they're doing at once. It seems like we are involved in a lot. I want to see the boys farming, and that's I want it to be where everyone's comfortable, and that's part of the reason I moved to Illinois. Is we had a limited number of acres in Iowa, and me moving to Illinois made it easier for my brother and my father at the time. Well, now that Dad's not there, it feels like we're both kind of stretched, but we both have young kids coming up, and we're not that far away.
To view the full selection of Plan Smart Grow Smart conversations, visit the website plansmartgrowsmart.com.
Agriculture meteorologist Greg Solier returns now with his extended farm weather forecast for the country.
Our weather segment is brought to you by SprayTech, making your spray applications effective and convenient. Use it once, trust it always. Earlier in the program, Greg Solier outlaid what could be ahead of us in the next week. Now he joins us with some details. Greg, who's going to see the precipitation?
Well, some areas of the country actually need it. Cotton Belt country down through the Delta, parts of the southeastern states, including Florida, don't need all at once the downpours. You'll see that on the precip chart across the desert southwest. The potential is we marry up moisture off the Pacific, the monsoon set up in the southwest for some goodly downpours and flash flood potential across the southwestern deserts, northward into the Great Basin. Some welcome good coverage, half-inch moisture. It's a start in a dry, drought-ridden area of the Pacific Northwest. Not much going on of meaning across the upper Midwest, across the northern Great Lakes region, but a half to an inch expected through the eastern and southern Corn Belt. Enjoy it. That's going to be it, I think, moving forward. And some pretty generous rains with a couple of tropical systems, one from Aaron early in the week, coastal sections of New England, and more so a system coming out of the Gulf, not named, but a significant moisture maker down there nonetheless as the week wears on.
For that last full week in August, it's Farm Progress Show. Greg, how do temperatures look?
Yeah, might as well be hot at Farm Progress, and it's going to be hotter at Farm Progress with humidity as well. Temperatures above average, probably pushing the 90-degree mark. Not unusual, though, for this point in August. Warmth across much of the Corn Belt, going to be an early and often start to harvest, I do believe. But again, some worrisome issues now because of drying out topsoils, especially across Illinois, below average in the southwestern states. And look at the corridor of either normal or below on the moisture pattern across the plains, much of the western and southern Corn Belt, active across the southwest, the Gulf Coast, the tropics in the southeast, and up and down the eastern seaboard.
For that first full week of September, Greg, how do the temperatures look?
Well, into that Labor Day weekend, there's still lots of summertime left in the tank over the middle part of the country. That's why we think we're going to get things quickly to maturity, but maybe at a price. Maybe it brings down some of those yield expectations, a bit below average in the Pacific Northwest. Meanwhile, back into high and dry weather, Pacific Northwest, northern and central plains, much of the Corn Belt active in the monsoon setup across the southwest, and a couple of tropical systems. We told you it'll turn hyperactive off the Atlantic, the southeastern states, and up and down the eastern seaboard as we move deeper in through September.
So for the week of September 8th through the 14th, Greg, that active tropical season, keep it dry inland?
I think so, absolutely. And more heat, kind of a little westward retrogression, as we try to say here in the weather business, west of the Missouri in particular, a little below average across northern New England. Meanwhile, it is a drier trend still across much of the heartland, early and often harvest, quick moisture reduction, dry down, and all of that. Wet weather continues on across the east and the tropics as well. The western Atlantic, busy.
Our Farm Progress Update is sponsored by Brandt Industries. Lead the field with Brandt's lineup of heavy-duty grain carts and make the most of your harvest season. Visit brandt.ca for more. Well, we are looking ahead to the Farm Progress Show. It's just around the corner, and it's a huge event each year with hundreds of exhibitors. Making a plan is key. Joining us now to talk about it is Dina Morgan. She's the sponsorships manager at Farm Progress. And Dina, how do you recommend folks keep track of their day at the Farm Progress Show?
Well, we have many different ways that you can keep up to date on what's going on at the show, certainly on our website and social media pages. But what I would recommend you to do is to download the Farm Progress Show app prior to getting to the show. I'm telling you, it's super user-friendly. It has all the information you need. If you want to search an exhibitor, if you want to find out when a program is starting, if you want to find a food vendor, we have that listed as well. So definitely download that app, play around with it a little bit before you get to the show, and then it will help you out a lot once you get on site.
And Dina, is that app in both the Android and Apple app stores?
It is, yeah. You just have to search for Farm Progress Show and that should pop up.
That's fantastic. Then, of course, once they get on the grounds, they'll be visiting with exhibitors. They'll have the chance to network with old friends, but also there's the chance to see unique things. Canine Stars are coming back. Dina, fill us in. What are the Canine Stars?
Yeah, I tell you what, if you are a dog lover, you cannot miss this show. It is so much fun. It's every day, 10, noon, and 2, so you've got 3 opportunities. But they're just a really fun group that does agility and tricks and things like that with dogs that they have rescued either in their hometowns or even along the way as they've been traveling across the country with this show. This group started out on America's Got Talent, so you might have seen them on that show. But again, just a really fun show to watch. And we know we love agriculture, and we love looking at all the latest and greatest in technology that's being showcased. But sometimes it's fun to stop and have a minute to take in an entertaining show.
It is indeed, and those pups truly are incredible, folks. Check out the Canine Stars when you go, but all of this walking around, Dina, it's going to make folks thirsty. Do we have a place to get rehydrated on the grounds this year?
We do, and that's another one of my favorite places to go is the Syngenta Square Beer Tent. And if you're looking for a place to meet your friends or other people as you're walking around the show, or like you said, take a little break from all that walking, it's a great place to meet up. We have several beers on tap as well as some local entertainment to help you pass the time.
Fantastic, folks. Check out all of those. Map your day at the Farm Progress Show app. And Dina Morgan, thank you so much for filling us in.
Great to be here. Looking forward to seeing you at the Farm Progress Show.
Now on This Week in Agribusiness, it's Max's Tractor Shed, where we spotlight another great American farm tractor. It's here. The half century of progress has arrived. Don't miss what you'll see in the tent city there. Max's Tractor Shed is brought to you by Lundell Plastics. On that website, LundellPlastics.com, the other day I was looking over the farmer comments, the satisfied customers, the products they had purchased from Lundell Plastics, and they were very pleased. You can be among those satisfied customers. LundellPlastics.com. Well, with the half century of progress coming up in the week ahead, you will see equipment working in the fields. You'll see the tractors going up and down the runways there, but don't miss the exhibits in the tent city. The big Heritage Iron exhibit will be there. Our friend Sherry Schaefer will have those muscle power tractors, the muscle tractors they call them, lined up. And you can buy things like books and shirts in her exhibit there in her tent. Our good friend Bill Burnham has something special this year because with his M&W tractor display, he has a Heisler demonstration tractor. Yeah, back in that post-World War II era, a fellow by the name of Harry Heisler at Hudson, Iowa, was 300 miles away from Gibson City, Illinois, making similar parts to what Elmo Miners was making at the M&W Gear Company. You can take a look and compare and contrast those aftermarket parts, the parts that those two guys, Harry and Elmo, made 300 miles apart to make tractors run better. Half century of progress. Rantoul, Illinois, the 21st through the 24th. There sure are some exciting things selling at Big Iron that we're interested in. Big Iron Auctions. Here's Mark Stock with his report.
Well, hello, Max. We have a week full of auction action starting on August the 18th with the Nolan Farms retirement sale. Items located by Cannelberg, Indiana. On Tuesday, August 19th, Douglas Farms Inc., their retirement sale by Novelty, Missouri. Almost every item purchased brand new. On Wednesday, Roger Pennell, they're retiring by Fairfax, Missouri. Late model Kinsey and Case IH equipment. Mitchell Equipment LLC from Atkinson, Nebraska, the Case IH dealer, will have 36 items on the sale. Joel Shoemaker and Gary Shoemaker, they are retiring. Outstanding late model equipment selling by Humphrey, Nebraska. Robert Benish by Lincoln, Nebraska will sell a 2021 Case IH 8250 combine. Hiawatha Implement with their Missouri and Kansas locations will sell 35 items on August the 20th. The retirement sale for Chantel Hammer is also on August the 20th. Equipment by Copeland, Kansas. On Thursday, August the 21st, Hanlon Farms, Inc., they are retiring equipment by Emmington, Illinois, featuring super well cared for John Deere equipment. Also on Thursday, August the 21st, Benson Brothers Grain, LLC, their retirement auction with equipment located by Hurley, South Dakota, will sell late model Case IH 8240 combine, quad track Case IH tractors. It's an outstanding lineup.
Our FFA chapter tribute is brought to you by Geringoff. Check out the new XFR 50 Draper with 3 times more flexibility than the closest competitor at Geringoff.com. Geringoff, proudly built in the American heartland. This week, we're meeting some members of the South Dakota State FFA team. Joining us today is Josie Nold. She's serving as vice president. Josie, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Tell us a little bit about your background. Did you grow up in an ag or farm family?
So I actually did. I grew up raising Southdown sheep with my 2 sisters and my family, and I've been around ag my entire life.
What was it that made you want to be a part of FFA?
I guess at first it was just kind of expected for me. Like both my sisters did FFA and my mom is actually an ag professor. But once I started in 7th grade, I just fell in love with it. The people, the skills that I learned and everything, it was amazing for me.
And of course, your travel has now included leadership, serving as the vice president for this next school year. What are you excited about in working with your FFA members across the state?
Already going the past few months have been amazing, having our leadership camps and getting to connect with members. And I'm just looking forward to keep doing that, connecting with members across the state and just making it a great experience for all of us and for them so that they can have the same passion for FFA and agriculture that I was able to have growing up.
That's great to share that enthusiasm. Then Josie, of course, your future plans. Do you hope to make a career in agriculture?
Yes, I do. So I'm attending South Dakota State University for animal science and pre-veterinary medicine. I'm not 100% sure what I want to do yet, but I know that I'll always be involved with the ag industry, whether it's through nutrition or pathology, something along the lines with animals and ag.
Fantastic. We need good folks working with America's livestock. Josie, thanks for joining us this week.
Yes, thank you for having me.
There's a lot of excitement here for the Farm Progress Show coming up in Decatur, Illinois, but for somebody whose job is agriculture and technology, Chad Colby is certainly very excited for the Farm Progress Show, and I understand he had the chance to get down to the Decatur site to take a peek at how things are shaping up for this year's event.
Thanks, Mike, and you're right. I just had to run down to Decatur this week because I wanted to see the progress, and I promised I would share with our audience what's happening at the show this year. And as you can see behind me, Tent City is starting to appear here in Decatur. It's a very busy place here as we prepare for the 2025 Farm Progress Show. Coming up over the next couple weeks here on This Week in Agribusiness, we'll give you some behind-the-scenes looks at some of the things that are going on. We'll continue to do that. I encourage you to go out to farmprogressshow.com. You can see everything there. Make a map of where you're going at the show. If you need hotel reservations or ticket information on anything about the show, you can get it there at the website. As far as what the show looks like this week, lots of preparation. I found it interesting this morning. I was several miles away from the show site and saw a brand new versatile tractor on a semi in front of me, and I knew exactly what that meant. He was on his way to Decatur. There's already some equipment here. There'll be hundreds of loads of semis coming here with equipment for this year's show. I've been asked several times the last couple weeks, Chad, what can we see new at this year's show? Well, here's what I can tell you. There'll be a lot to see here. I can't give you more details than that, but I promise you, whatever your favorite color of equipment is, there's going to be some new stuff to see here. And a lot of manufacturers have been using the Farm Progress Show as the place to make their debut. Stay tuned for more here on This Week in Agribusiness as we get closer to the show to bring you a lot more information, and I can't wait to see you at this year's Farm Progress Show. For This Week in Agribusiness, I'm Chad Colby.
Thanks, Chad. Things look great down there at the show site. Folks, stick around. When we come back, we've got a new message from John Deere about some changes they're making to their operations center. Leave it here. John Deere has been in the news this past week as their management team has made some decisions with their operations center, changing the way folks who need to work on machines can access that information. I had the chance to speak with John Deere Representative Denver Caldwell about some of the changes.
You know, the big announcement was the creation of Operation Center Pro Service for our customers. This is an advancement in our digital diagnose, repair, maintain, support, and protect tools for customers. You know, John Deere's been on a innovation journey for the tech stack that our farmers and customers use in their fields, but this is about support. This is about how they can digitally support their equipment. They can read diagnostic trouble codes. They can take readings and recordings, do interactive tests and calibrations, and reprogram software.
All right, well, this is a big update. Let's talk a little bit more about the details. Denver, who has access to this tool and what's it going to cost for the farmer?
You know, John Deere customers, dealers, and independent local service providers have access to the tool. You know, John Deere customers can access one machine at a pin level for $195. If you are a business service provider, you can access it for as little as $2,995 annually, up to $5,995 annually if you're that business. But I personally have one of these for one of my pieces of equipment on my farm for $195.
All right, so it's out there, it's for growers, it's for their service techs. Let's talk about the timing. Denver, why is this announcement being made now? Is this in response to the FTC investigation?
You know, it's really in response to our longstanding commitment to our customers and providing them the tools they need to better support their equipment. You know, it could go back to, December of 2023 when we first announced our secure software updates as a part of Equipment Mobile. That was a big announcement that we had, and this really continues on that long-standing, decades-long journey of providing customers the tools they need to have world-class support, however and wherever they may choose, whether they want to do it themselves, they want to have a local service provider do it or have a professionally trained John Deere dealer technician execute those repairs. It's about world-class repair however they want it, the most economical way they can have it, fastest and most accurate.
If we've got viewers who want to learn more about this new option from John Deere, Denver, where would you send them?
I would send them to johndeere.com/runityourway, or I would send them to the Operations Center, and they can select service. They'll see the free service overview that gives them access to connected machine information, as well as an opportunity to click the link on Purchase Pro Service Now.
Denver Caldwell, thank you so much for joining us this week.
Hey, thanks, Mike. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Denver, for that update. Folks, this weekend is a great time to get online at farmprogressshow.com and get your tickets in advance for the Farm Progress Show in Decatur, Illinois, August 26th through the 28th. We hope to see you there. Thank you so much for joining us here today. Be sure to catch us next time, right here for This Week in Agribusiness. This Week in Agribusiness is recorded in the Strauss Studios. For more than 70 years and 3 generations, Strauss has been manufacturing high-performance German-engineered workwear, work boots, and safety equipment. Prepare for the next growing season at Strauss.com.
This Week in Agribusiness is produced by 22 Creative Group and has been a presentation of Farm Progress Broadcast. We invite you to visit us online at agbizweek.com.